Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Carrep's 2K presentation in our spray booth in Finland. Teemu Parviainen, who you will see in your screen shortly, will be the one who is doing a presentation this morning in our spray booth, demonstrating the features and qualities of our 2K lineup, taking you all the way from start to finish with Jari, who is doing the spraying. If I could get you all to not have your video on and mute yourselves during the presentation, we will be taking questions afterwards, and you can also send them via chat. Thanks very much. Have fun watching us spray some paint.
Thank you, Ali, for the presentation, and I would like to welcome you all on my behalf as well. We are at the moment at our premises here in southern Finland, and behind me you can see our spray booth where we're going to do the application shortly. My name is Teemu, as Ali already mentioned, and I'm the marketing director, and I like to do a lot of hands-on painting myself as well. But today with me, as Ali already mentioned, I have a real professional, Jari. He's a man of few words, a typical Finn, so I will be responsible for talking today while Jari can concentrate on painting itself. Now, I will transform myself to the spray booth, so if you want to ask something, you cannot, because I can't hear you to the spray booth, so take a while and enjoy the show. All right, so today we will be doing some painting, but first let me take you through the product we will be using. So we're talking about our two-component series 2K, which has all the following products: primers, primer fillers, top coats, and last but not least, the polyurethane clear coat. So all of the products are two-component. But the special thing about it is that both the resin or the binder, whatever you want to refer it as, and the hardener, they're already packed inside the can in one compartment only, and they get activated only once they are released to the atmospheric pressure. So the traditional two-component or the conventional two-component solution is that you have a two-compartment solution. So you have two compartments inside the can, and you release the hardener into the bigger container by pushing here. And once you do that, the product gets activated and the chemical hardening starts to happen immediately, and there is no undoing it. So the pot life is very limited. Now, with our products, the pot life is pretty much unlimited. So whenever you're finished using the product, you can still use it in a week after, or a month after, or whenever you need it. Before we hop into painting, I would like to first show you a couple of things. So now we have a blue plate here that we're going to paint. And underneath there is the bare metal, which is sanded. And on top of that, we lay the two-component epoxy primer. If there is some scratches or anything you would like to fill on the surface, you apply the two-component epoxy primer filler. And then on top of that, you lay the base coat. Now, finally, of course, you want to clear coat it. So here we have the PU clear coat on it that we're going to apply now. So Jari, do you think you're ready? Yeah. Should we start the vacuum?
I think so.
Okay, great. And before that, safety first. So now when I'm wearing the mask and soon the vacuum is on, so I will be using a bit more of my voice. So don't think me as arrogant. I'm just trying for you to hear what I'm saying here. So underneath here we have the primer, and on top of that we have the base coat. So the base coat is a one-component acrylic base coat. So pretty much why are you laying the clear coat is to get really the gloss on it, and also the surface hardness and chemical resistance. So
what have you done to prepare the surface before we begin painting?
I clean it with trace of
Okay, so it has been cleansed with, you're going to clean it now with grease off, Jari said, and after that we're going to apply the first layer of the clear coat. So Jari is just gently wiping the surface. If there is any grease or dust or anything that you don't want to have on the surface before you begin painting, you should really prepare it as clean as possible. Now, the cans, as I already said, there are two components, but you don't have to activate it before spraying. It activates itself when it's released to the atmospheric pressure. Now, you should also pay close attention to shake it very well before beginning. But don't worry, we've done it beforehand. We've shaken the cans already, so we don't have to use too much time on that. So whenever you're ready, Jari. And now as Jari starts painting, he's going to do first a very thin layer just to get the adhesion right, everything correct. And then the second layer is going to be much more on the wet side. It will take approximately 10 to 15 minutes in between the layers. So the flash of time is from 10 to 15 minutes. So we are going to put this plate aside to dry. I can briefly show you the surface. So you probably can't see it, but it looks something like a skin of an orange at the moment. It is not covering very well, and that's for purpose because the first layer should be very thin. Another good tip for painting such a surface is that you should apply more thin layers instead of a couple of thick layers. So I will put this now aside. We'll let it dry for a while. Now, next one, we have a bare metal plate here, and which has been sanded through. And if you don't want to do the whole buildup from primers to base coat and finally the clear coat, you could also apply our two-component epoxy top coat as well. So we have that in various colors such as black, white, gray, and in all different gloss levels. So in a while, when Henk, our chief chemist, is showing you the chemistry and the products on a more technical side, you will see how well this top coat is performing. But anyhow, Jari, please go ahead and start painting. So whenever you want to use something for a trim paint, or you don't need a fancy metallic color, you just want black, you can just apply the epoxy two-component top coat on a plate, and it will perform very well. So today we're using the two-component high gloss, and the color is anthracite gray. And once again, what Jari is doing here, he's laying the first layer very thin. So just to get everything right, to get a good adhesion at first, and then he's going to lay the wetter layers. And ultimately, the final layer shall be much more wet than the first ones. How many layers are you going to apply?
I think 3 is enough.
Okay, yeah, 3 is probably enough, and so is for the clear coat as well. So we recommend them up to 3 layers. Now, the epoxy two-component paints, they require a little less flash time, and we're talking about 2 to 3 minutes. So we will be we will be ready to paint another layer in a few seconds. Would you have any tips on how to paint this kind of surface?
Myself, I start off all the time the corners.
Okay, yeah, I see. So what Jari said here is that when you have a complicated surface, you should really start from the very complicated areas and then move to the bigger surfaces finally. So now he's once again watches his spray. So he begins from the most complicated areas, the edges, the corners, whatever you want to refer them. And then he will finish off with the bigger surfaces. And now watch closely what he's doing as well here. So first layer was in a horizontal manner. Now this one is in vertical. So you should really paint in cross layers to get everything even and smooth. I can quickly show you now what the surface should look like at this point. So it looks already very even. It looks very nice, but I think one more very wet layer will make it perfect. What do you think? So we have to still wait for a while in order for it to achieve the 2 minutes flash of time, and then we can lay in the final layer and proceed with the clear coat. All right, should we proceed? Now, he's painting from approximately 6 to 8 inches distance. So you can paint pretty close to the object. And the benefit from that is that not so much paint is wasted when all of the spray is going on the surface itself and not going to overspray. Wow, that looks good. You think you're finished?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it looks perfect. I will carefully pick that up to show it on the camera as well. Now it's looking very nice. So as before, it was very even, but now you can really see that it's completely wet surface, so it evens out very smoothly. I hope you can see it on the camera as well. It's impressive. So I will put this aside now. Now I will put it here. And then we should continue with the clear coat. Now, still, as you might not see it, but it's still looking like an orange. But watch what happens when we lay the second layer. Now, laying clear coat is always the most difficult part because you need to really get the flow even. And because the surface is so glossy, you should really pay close attention to get a very smooth, very even layer. Wow, that's looking good. Wow. You think that's it? No more layers?
I think that is enough.
Yeah, it looks very nice. I can show it to the camera once more. Now it's starting to look very nice. It's very glossy, and once it hardens, it's gonna even out, and it's gonna be a very good looking surface, I assume. Wow, good job, Jari. Now, in order for it to cure completely, it's going to take up to 8 days to reach full hardness and final curing. But for polishing purposes, it should be okay to let it dry overnight. I will get back to the panel if you could just move that aside. Can you put it there so I can show it to the camera? Let me just also take it here so everybody can see it. So this has been cured for over 8 days now. All of the layers have. And I'm quickly going to show you something. So now the benefit of using 2-component paints is that they are very hard. And you can also get a very nice gloss. But also they are resistant to a lot of chemicals. Now, if I try to scratch the surface with my fingernail, it's not doing a thing. So it's very hard, and I can imagine if I had some keys and something like that, it would still resist the scratches very well. Another thing that I already mentioned is that when it gets in contact with chemicals. So here I have a bottle of pure gasoline. Now, watch what happens when I wipe the surface with the gasoline. I'm giving it a through wipe, but nothing happens. There's absolutely nothing on the surface. Now, it also applies to the two-component primer filler and the epoxy primer as well. So nothing detaches from the surface. Now, if I would apply the gasoline to the base coat, because that's one component, it would probably come off. And I don't want to ruin that plate, so I have another plate of same base coat here, and watch what happens. So the paint starts to come off, and that was just a second of wiping. Now this is what happens with one component paints. That's why you need to apply the two component clear coat on top of that. And just to kind of show you how resistant it is to chemicals, I'm going to show you another type of chemical, which is acetone. Now, once again, I will do the same procedure. Open the bottle, pour a good bit of acetone on the paper, and then watch what happens. So nothing happens. There's absolutely nothing, no marks on the surface. And the same applies once again for our two-component primer filler and epoxy. Now watch what happens to the plate if I wipe it with acetone. That's just to show you how strong of a solvent the acetone is. Now, probably most of you won't be dealing with acetone when dealing with cars, but well, gasoline, that's what you often have to do with cars. Okay, Jari, you think we're done for today?
I think so.
Well, I'll let you clean up everything up. I'll head outside the booth so I can answer questions, if any. Thanks.
Thanks very much, fellas. That was a really great showing.
Whew.
Really appreciate that.
And it gets hot. Whew.
There was no questions that we received this time, but we are always open to them. So if you're watching this later on, we're going to post this online. Please forward some questions for us. We're happy to answer them and demonstrate to you how exceptionally good surfaces you can get with our two-component paints. Thanks so much for joining us. See you later.
Thank you.